The following will come as news only to those who get their Ukraine information exclusively from the laughably brain-dead stream of daily propaganda that pours forth from the American security state corporate media. Please stand by. Okay, here are some of the actual facts, just in case daytime Fox has started taking its toll on you. It happens, believe me. I drive a lot during the day, during the week, and sometimes find myself nodding my head at outnumbered talking points. Now I quickly snap out of it, but it happens. Anyways, more on the ridiculous coverage of this war later. Let's go over the actual realities of the situation. Oh gee, where to start? Okay, Russia's economy is just fine. Its capacity to meet its people's needs while outproducing Ukraine and its allies in war material appears intact. America's Ukraine policy has successfully driven our two competing great powers, Russia and China, into each other's arms. A more stupid self-defeating act would be hard to find in the annals of diplomatic history. And those two nations are now truly allied in their determination to end what the U.S. absurdly refers to as, quote, the rules-based international order. A term that to the Chinese and Russians has long meant America makes the rules and gives the orders, and exempts itself from its own rules as and when it chooses, e.g., among many, the Iraq War, Libya War, and Syrian wars. Western defensive supplies are being rapidly and dangerously depleted, and for good measure our order to Germany and Western Europe generally that they will not, under any circumstances, purchase inexpensive Russian natural gas, and that they will buy U.S. liquefied gas at 4 to 10 times the cost, impoverishing large swaths of the Western European populace, and soon to render Germany's high-energy consuming industrial economy economically uncompetitive, is being meekly obeyed at this point. And much of the rest of the world also believes that, just in case Europe should object to committing economic suicide per U.S. orders, the United States, at the highest level of government, ordered and carried out the destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline in an act of industrial terrorism directed more against our German allies, who desperately need the cheap Russian gas that they can no longer get, than against the Russians, who now can sell most of it to nations that do not take orders from the United States State Department. Oh, but there's more. Outside the United States and its European and Asian vassals, the claims that Russia's invasion of Ukraine was wholly unprovoked, a phrase that average American corporate media consumers reads or hears dozens of times a week, draws cynical laughter and derives smiles. You see, India, Brazil, South Africa, and most of the Arab and South Central American world see through that brazen lie to the reality of the U.S.'s decades-long movement of its weapons systems and military ever closer to Russia, culminating in the U.S. support and pretty much created 2014 coup that toppled a democratically elected and, yes, pro-Russian Ukrainian president. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Anyways, they replaced him with the psychopath who pretty much made war on Ukrainians' overwhelmingly Russian or Russian-speaking residents of eastern Ukraine, and who threatened to end Russia's multi-century naval lease on the Black Sea at Sevastopol. Quite a list for a wholly unprovoked war, right? Outside easily misled America and the lands of its subservient allies, all of the foregoing is widely known in government and other significant circles, much to the detriment of America's image and of any willingness by nations outside U.S. vassalage to trust or cooperate with the United States. And lastly, but definitely not least, America's sanctions have catalyzed the process of a general worldwide abandonment of the dollar as a reserve currency for national transactions. Already countries such as China, India, and Brazil are settling major transactions in local currencies. Uh-oh. If this trend becomes general, dollars in trillions will flow back into America. The federal government's ability to borrow will be crushed, and massive inflation will ensue. Just to name a few consequences of that development. So yeah, nothing good for the American people can come out of the Ukraine war, that small circles within the U.S. military-industrial complex and the neocon-dominated State Department so tenaciously provoked. For the well-being of the people of this country, if not of the small group within it who profit from war and ruin, and for the well-being of the Ukrainians themselves, this conflict should be brought to a speedy end. The ability to do so resides in Washington, D.C. Only the will is lacking. Okay, now let's talk about the actual coverage of this war. Evidently, Fox didn't get the memo when Trump was elected that most conservatives these days are tired of living in the false reality that the Cold War is alive and well. You know, we've even evolved so far as to not be interested in eternal police states in the Middle East. Kind of a weird thing, but in the process, somehow, during the 2016 election cycle, we passed the baton onto the left, as they have gone full-blown Russia, Russia, Russia. For the ass clowns on the left, it's almost as bad as racism. Almost, but not quite. Now, I've really taken the time over the past year plus to keep a fairly close eye on what's going on in Ukraine. And these Fox News generals are completely and utterly full of shit, and they spout it pretty much every damn day. As an example, it's basically like watching Rachel Maddow every night in 2017 and 18 with her obsession on Trump. It just could not be further from the truth. Almost nothing they are saying is true. Again, it's fascinating. Another quick observation before I let you go, and this just further substantiates my point on them being, well, full of shit. Just where the hell are the boots on the ground reporters throughout this war? And no, I'm not talking about the douchebag in the hard hat standing on a balcony in Kiev somewhere hundreds of miles away from the action. Seriously, has there ever been a war with less coverage on the day-to-day action? I don't think so. Something tells me that's for a reason, folks, and that's not to even mention all the staged scenes we see reporters getting caught creating over and over and over again. Yes, Russia is taking their sweet-ass time grinding Ukraine into a pulp, but historically this is the game that they play. They dig in, annihilate, and move forward, and dig in, and annihilate, and move forward, rinse, repeat.
I think most important is the fact that the leaks are revealing to the American public in very stark terms the extent to which they have been lied to by the Biden administration, particularly in connection with events in Ukraine. They tell the truth. They paint a very grim picture. Ukrainians have sustained heavy losses. It talks in detail about the destruction of their air defenses, their energy grid. It talks about the massive exodus of people out of the country. All of these things paint a picture that is radically different from what Mr. Biden and his supporting cast have been telling us.
You're exactly right. And of course, we hear then Admiral Kirby then saying you shouldn't even be reporting on it. No one should even be talking about it. Kind of just zip your lip. Is that quite concerning to you, especially as you said, a lot of the information that is coming out of this, if it does prove to be accurate, then as you said, it completely undermines what we've been told for so long now. Do you think that's perhaps why Admiral Kirby doesn't want anyone talking about it?
Well, I don't think it's just Admiral Kirby. I think everybody at the top of the administration is embarrassed. In addition to telling the truth about the true state of affairs in Ukraine and the fact that the Russians are absolutely winning this war and the Ukrainians are losing it dramatically, they're also telling you the truth about our spying operations on foreign countries, particularly the leadership of many of our friends and allies. This is extremely embarrassing. If you're the president of Korea or the prime minister of Japan or whatever you may be, and you discover that suddenly everything you are saying, decisions you are making, are known in the United States by the president long before you even have a chance to announce them, that's very serious material. So I think it's very embarrassing and it's very damaging. It's going to undermine our credibility at home and abroad.
Well, there it is. Just wanted to do a quick update on America's favorite laundromat, Ukraine. Most of this came by way of the American Thinker. If you liked it, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. There's a PayPal link in the description box, so please put $1 in the bucket on the way out the door. I'd like to thank everyone for all your donations. They're much needed and much appreciated. Now, with all that being said, we'll see you next time.
Come on, move. Move. Easy, easy.